Good morning. It's one of those beautiful sunny hazy mornings. It's 7:30 and the overnight dew is just starting to burn off in the sun. Now I've come to just give you a quick tour of my home garden, mostly flowers with a greenhouse, so that yeah, just a little update on how things are going here. It's been a couple of months, so we've seen roses come and go, we've seen clematis come and go. My garden to me is like a little window or a view, and it's very important because it's like an extra part of your life. You know, it's not everything, it's just a part of it. But yeah, I like a house with a garden so that I can just see beautiful colours and shapes and form, and I just like things to be beautiful if I can get them that way. And it's a bit wild, it's not too tamed a garden. I do try and keep on top of tying things in and giving them space to grow, but it's not very big, and I tend to get a bit over enthusiastic about what I plant and how many plants that I buy when I go to the garden centre. So some things have been given to me in previous houses and I've brought them to this house, and they are quite sentimental. They remind me of people that are no longer in my life, and that's also a very important. Sharing plants is just a very important part of friendship, and it's a memory. So I hope you enjoy it. So excuse the roadside noise. Here comes little Spenny. He got himself into the picture then, didn't he? But this is the front garden, which is a sunny garden. It's a south-facing garden, and for the first time my hot pokas have started to flower, which is really good. My mum loves this Amimajus, and so she's grown this little white one from seed, and I've got a bit more of that in the back garden, which is quite tall, but it does flop over. We've had some high winds. It's just a bit cottagey through the front here. My lavender is doing really well this year, and finally we have some bees, but not as many bees as we used to have. But there are lots of different type of bees that like the lavender, you know, tiny small ones that look like flies and big ones. So I've got lavender on both sides. My other annuals have just died over at the moment, my Nigella, but they're still pretty seed heads. Some late alliums, the little drumstick ones, and this is really what I wanted to show you. This, you may be able to see all the dew on this smoke bush, and you can see why it's called a smoke bush. It has all these sort of dreamy clouds of bunches of flowers. It's just become a monster. As you can see, all of this is new, this year's growth, and I did cut it right back, so it's a little bit of a monster. But this is so it's cotonis or smoke bush, and this is the red variety. I've got a couple more roses still coming. This rose flowers from early, and it's had its main flower, but now I've cut it back. You can see that a second flush of pink flowers are coming. It doesn't have much smell. Cut back my euphorbia, and now these are all the small growth coming through after the bracts. A little bit of a just kind of difficult area, so I just let it do its thing here. And my garlic hanging up, we're just going into the greenhouse, and the garlic did very well. It's just drying, and so I've just hung it in here away from the window a bit, It's doing really well drying out, so I have been actually starting to use some. I've only got two courgettes, 2 cucumbers and 2 gherkins, so smaller cucumbers, and just some peppers and tomatoes and things, just so I can pick these at home. Some starting to ripen down there. More chilies. Anybody who's following my channel knows I love growing my chilies, and these ones are about at the same stage as the ones in the greenhouse down at the allotment. So we'll just have a walk through here. Unfortunately, we've missed the best of this beautiful clematis because, I mean, it is still throwing up a small amount of flowers, but the whole thing was just covered in these beautiful flowers. So we are starting to get a few more individual ones. This everlasting pea, so it just comes over and over. It's just got a little home at the back there. This official jasmine was full of flower, and it's still very scented. There's a few more coming now. We've just got some annuals. I love growing annual climbers, so cream of carpus and black-eyed Susie. I've got my first flower, and this is, I think this is called skylark. This one, Agapanthus skylark. My mum grew some Love Lies Bleeding. This is just one plant. They didn't do very well. I mean, it's quite difficult to get them going, but this one has taken off, so it's doing really well now. Coming back to this annual climber here, another one, a Cremocarpus scaber, or the Chilean glory vine. I hope you can see that. I mean, it's not in the most glamorous of pot, it's just in some sort of recycling pot, but it's the biggest tub that I had when I needed to plant them out. But I haven't trained it in. All I've done is literally planted them, and they are just clinging on and scrambling up the hedge and holding on that way. But they have some really pretty coloured tubules. Now this isn't the official jasmine. This is the Tracheospermum jasminoides, but it does have, apart from having a slightly more windmill-like little flower, it's basically the same scent as the jasmine. So as you can see, I have 2 big plants, and they're only in tubs, but 2 big plants here. So when you're walking by this, especially in the evening, this is just really, I mean, it's a delightful scent, and it means that my clients who walk around here can really appreciate that too. I'm just homing in on this, how the little, just the small flowers of this cotonis are amazing. So this is the back garden, and we have morning sun followed by some areas of deep shade. This side of the garden that I'm facing now will get more sun during the day, and as you can see, my ceanothus, this is a late ceanothus. I had another one that came out in the springtime, but this is all really, you know, totally out in flower all together now, so it's a massive blue, which is amazing. We've got some clematis that are having a second flush of flower. This one, Mrs. Chumley, and earlier on it flowered down below. Got some begonias coming, and some canna lilies, some annuals. I'm not even sure what these are. These ones were given to me, but they're very pretty and they're doing really well. More annual climbers that I love, and some big tall lilies. This one's called Debbie, which is just, yeah, so tall. It's way beyond me. It's like 8 feet tall. So there's another tall spire of that lovely lily. My hostas are doing great. They are as you can see, they're all in flower altogether. Some of the flowers are going over. But the tougher leaves don't seem to get eaten so much by the slugs, so very happy about that. And I do have a light one in here that I really, really love underneath here that I must move out and put into its own individual space. This wall of clematis here did flower. It had a deep purple, but that's kind of gone over now. My shady spring border has just turned into a bit of a jungle. But there will be a couple of flowers at the back. We've got a little bit of anemone, Japanese anemone at the back, and the campsis, which will come out later on. My mum grew me just a really nice cosmos, and it has a couple of these lovely hanging bell shaped flowers like that. This shady area, very much spring, and it's just really gone over, but the Acer still looking good. This clematis is a bit later, and it's having a great time just scrambling through. I love the brightness of this from my kitchen window to see how wonderful these are doing. Can't remember this one. It's very common, but it's just the most beautiful cerise flower. This is the salvia that I grew from seed, and it's a really chunky, dense pink spire that will come up later on. We have a mixture of annuals and a later clematis. You can see this one's all in flower again. Doing really well. I moved this one last year because I just created this archway. Yeah, the end of last year. This arrived in October, so we're just trying to cover this up with a variety of roses which have gone over now, but they were coming on, getting a bit taller. Wisteria and annual climbers at the moment, and clematis. But I love how these are all different, these lovely bells, and it's as common as anything. Once it starts to go, this is just in a pot, but I've got about 6 of these in a pot. Some stripy, and I've got a blue and white stripe and a pink and white stripe, and some of these lovely dark ones. Well, I hope you had a nice view of how my garden is going. We're on the 18th of July, and it's meant to be about 20 degrees today, so the garden's going to enjoy it. I'm going to enjoy my garden, and I really hope that you can get out and enjoy yours.